This really interesting conversation is with a Carnegie Mellon student. At Carnegie Mellon, he was exposed to analytics and profitability, finance, and basic economics, which led him to believe for the early years that a career in sales and trading was the best way to go. However, late into his process, just in the same way that he ended up thinking about Carnegie Mellon later on in his application process for college, the introduction of consulting came onto the scene, and somebody who was already a consultant gave him the idea to begin to reach out and to apply. After a great experience with EY-Parthenon, he was invited to join the firm. And he tells us today how, and then how, after a late entry into the job game, JP Morgan was in competition through the last minute. Finally, he'll end by telling us how he decided. Really excited today to have a guest that's here who went through a few career crises already and has come out the other side with some goals, ambitions, and an exciting story to tell. We're so excited to have you, and I'd love to have you begin with your bio. Go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, for sure. So, hi everyone. My name's Aashav Mehta, and I'm currently a junior at Carnegie Mellon University. I'm from New Jersey, and I guess the one thing that I want to talk about today is how I went from sales and trading for the past couple of years and really going into that industry, and then last minute changing my entire route for my career and switching into consulting at EY-Parthenon.
We're so excited to walk through the journey with you. But before we get started, I've got to ask a couple get to know you questions. Are you game?
Yeah, I'm game.
First one, favorite flavor of ice cream. Don't answer the wrong answer. This is really dangerous.
Oof. I think my favorite flavor of ice cream is Rocky Road. Definitely love Rocky Road. Okay,
I love that. Tell me why. Just give me a little color to that.
Just like the flavor of like the chocolate and like all the chunks inside of it. Like that texture of a creamy and like crunchy is like amazing. And I love Rocky Road ice cream.
You're not wrong. That's a great choice. Okay, second one. If you were given $100,000 today, what would you do with it?
So in my true sales and trading fashion, probably the first thing I do is pay off all my debt from school and then take the rest of it and invest it into stocks, maybe like GameStop or something. I know that's pretty hot right now.
You don't think it's at the bottom yet, huh?
No. It's going to go all the way to the moon. It's going to
go all the way to the moon, baby. You're going to put all of the rest of the $100K on GameStop, yeah?
Yep. All one stock. About
a month after it peaked. That's the strategy for sales and trading, right?
Right. That's probably why I switched.
Yeah, seriously. Awesome. An accomplishment that you're proud of?
I guess just like surviving through this pandemic and just, being here on the other side, still my whole self, being able to get through school and just like every single day, trying to stay positive. I think that's like really important at this time, just staying positive and keep going.
Good. Winning at life. That's a good accomplishment. Final question. One person from history that you would love to interview?
That's a tough one because it's been a long time. I would probably say somebody like maybe like FDR, someone who's like been like really important in history. Like I think he's a pretty great leader from that we've had in the U.S.
Love it. Okay. Awesome. Thanks. Well, now let's get to the real skinny, which is about you. So you shared just the really brief overview of your background, but take us back to the beginning. You said that you're from New Jersey. What does that mean? What were some of your early interests? How did you decide to go to Carnegie Mellon? And then tell us about some of the early stages of your career.
Yeah, for sure. So being a Indian kid from New Jersey, is like, basically my story is that my parents came from India a couple like 30 years ago. I grew up as a American Indian student in high school as well. And I think for me, like going through the whole process of figuring out, why should I go to college? What's it about? Basically, what I want to do in the future. And I think that just like figuring all that out by myself was a little bit difficult. So my whole career, I was like, I want the prestige of going to like a Wharton or NYU Stern. And then my friend was applying to this school, Carnegie Mellon. And I basically, before that time, I had no idea what Carnegie Mellon was. All I knew that was like basically a tech school for CS and engineering. And I basically went home that night and looked it up online and found out that basically it's probably one of the top 10 business schools in the US. And basically I looked into why that's the case, right? So basically saw that it's for finance and for business technology, it's really up there. And you basically get a set of skills that are really like well-rounded in, whether it be in data management, business analytics, coding. And I thought like if I want to go into sales and trading at some point in the future, that'd be really helpful for me to learn. So not only just like the academic side, but I actually visited the campus in April of my senior year in high school, and like just like the vibe that I got from like the people that were there that were meeting with us, the overall atmosphere of people who want to be like I guess successful in their lives and be ambitious in the future, but also like want to have fun and I get to know the people around them. Just like all those just like that vibe that I got from the campus made me like really want to go there over some other schools that I also got into.
Come on. And then you said that you were thinking that it would be good training for sales and trading. This is your high school brain thinking. How did you know about sales and trading in high school? And also what was attractive to you about sales and trading?
Yeah, I guess my story starts my senior year. It was fall 2017, I think. And I think that was like the time of the first Bitcoin bubble peak. And I just turned 18. And I made my own account in Coinbase, right? So basically like a place where you can buy Bitcoin and other crypto. I put a couple $100 into Bitcoin. Over the next literally 4 weeks, I lost almost all of it. I'm like, what the heck just happened to my money? Like, what did I just do? Like for me as a 17, 18-year-old, that's a lot of money. And some of my friends were like, okay, maybe this is not for me, right? But for me, I went ahead and put more money into Robinhood this time and started learning more about stocks and bonds, as opposed to just crypto. And after a couple of months of trading and learning about crypto versus stocks versus bonds, I kind of looked back and said, okay, like that was a bubble, right? Like I was investing into a bubble and I got caught up in my emotions. So from that point forward, I was like, okay, like maybe this is something that I can do for a career because I really enjoy that thrill and that fast-paced nature of trading itself. So I went into college and I basically joined a couple of clubs, our school student fund, where I learned more about trading and how to manage a portfolio. And I think that just like talking to people around me, the students who already had internships at these big banks, and I realized that this is something that I wanted to do at that point in time.
I love it. Well, so you went from there to thinking more seriously about it as a student. And then, as I understand, you had a moment of crisis about that decision to go into sales and trading. What was the change, or what was that crisis moment for you?
We'll be right back after this quick break.
Have you ever heard a new digital trend and thought to yourself, okay, does this really matter? Asking the right questions helps you cut through the noise and get down to what matters most. I'm Jim Hertzfeld, host of the What If, So What podcast, where we discover what's possible with digital and figure out how to make it real by asking what if, so what, and most importantly, now what? Subscribe and listen, and together we can turn big ideas into tangible actions so you can get shit done.
Yeah, so I was recruiting for sales and trading for maybe over a year and a half, because it's like a long cycle for banks usually for recruiting, from like basically a year and a half before you even start like your internship, right? So I was basically the whole time going through the whole process of, why do I want to go into sales and trading? What makes me want to pursue that path for a career, and what makes me think that I'm fit for that role or fit for that job? So I think after answering that question so many times, right, it becomes like, do you still have that passion for that role or that job that you do on like the 20th, like your last interview, as you did on your first interview? And I realized that as time went on, like that same passion that I had, it was kind of like dwindling over time. And even though I really enjoyed the fact that I could, trade stocks and kind of like understand what was going on in the markets, I didn't think at that point in time that if I was losing interest over a few months, could I do, even like during like the most exciting time in markets with COVID-19, could I basically do this for 30, 40 years at a time and understand that I'm going to go into the industry, really get into one area, one product, and get really strong knowledge on that one field over time. So for me, it was like, I'm not sure if I can commit right now to a career path that's like very focused and very, I wouldn't say rigid, but like very like concentrated in what you're going to be doing over time. So then I was taking a step back and thinking about, what else can I look at for a career. So one of the things that popped up in my head was consulting. My sister's actually, I have a sister who's also in consulting as well, who's working in a small company in New York City for I think for supply chain consulting. And I was thinking, maybe I want to do something more in the strategy / like finance field. And I guess like luck, I guess it was all luck. But I went into my school's job portal on Handshake, and I saw this event from EY-Parthenon for a deal technology role, which is basically a strategy, technology, M&A, business analytics type of role. And I thought, wow, like at this point in time where I can't get an internship because I'm not getting any more interviews, I'm kind of struggling with my schoolwork and everything going on. Like this, like the perfect job that I think that I'll be perfect for. So I went ahead and applied, and I think the rest was like sort of like history at that point.
Okay, awesome. So that part we cannot gloss over, because even though the decision to get there was a big deal, I want to know how the heck you got the offers. And from what I understand, you actually ended up with 2 offers, one with JP Morgan and then another one with EY-Parthenon. So give me the skinny. How did you do it? What did you crunch to go from I think I want to apply to I got an offer?
Right. So I think I can walk through the whole process of late summer of applying to JP Morgan and all the way up until I got both of the offers. So I think it was like around maybe late July, early August when I was applying for JP Morgan for sales and trading for junior summer. And I was thinking about, I actually worked at JP Morgan my junior summer of high school through a program in my city for high school juniors. And I thought, wow, like I actually like the company a lot. Maybe I can go to college, figure out what I want to do, and come back to JP Morgan after that. And basically, from that point forward, I was like, okay, so I have this like dream path set out, and if I can just execute and get the job, there's no way that I would say no to JP Morgan, right? So like I basically poured my heart out into that cover letter, into that process, and basically I was ghosted from early August until all of it in end of October, early November. So in the meantime, I was applying to different banks, trying to get different offers. And I actually got a couple of the smaller offers that I wasn't really ready to take at that time. And EY-Parthenon was posted somewhere in early October. So now I basically went to some coffee chats with people that were at the company. And I basically talked to people who were also from CMU who were working there at the time. So I basically learned about, what they do on a day-to-day basis, what consulting really is all about, because I told them like my story about wanting to go into sales and trading, but I'm not really sure anymore. I actually think I like more of what we're doing here, what you're doing here at EY-Parthenon, and I think that would be a great fit for me. And I think that is all like I was like really passionate and I guess really wanted to go into that role. And I actually earned a first round interview with EY-Parthenon. At that point, I had no idea if I would get it or not. And now I had basically about a week to prepare for it. So what did I do? So this isn't like a plug or anything like that, but I actually went to managementconsultant.com and I was looking at your resources that you have for case prep, for everything from what is consulting to how do you do a M&A framework, a case study, and really like nail it on the spot. So I basically watched a bunch of videos on YouTube that you have walk through everything that there is to know about EY-Parthenon from your website and also their website, and also everything that there is to know to being basically nailing the case interview. And one thing I saw is that most students start 6 to 8 months before the actual like interviews. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this entire thing literally in a week, right? So I was spending my, maybe like 8 a.m.s to 6, 7 p.m.s doing schoolwork, meetings, things like that. And then from 7 p.m. onwards, it was just like straight studying frameworks, studying like terminology that is in consulting. And I realized that, I'm pretty strong in understanding like basic business concepts, but how do I apply them in a way that's going to make me stand out as a candidate for consulting? So I think what I did is after I went through what consulting basically is, there's this one guide on your website that's about how to walk through case interviews. And I think you had a list of MBA case books that I went through. I went through like half of the Wharton and also the Harvard MBA case interview book, and trying to figure out, like what am I not so good at? Like basically I was pretty good at profitability, because in sales and trading, it's all about like looking at a company's profits and seeing are they a good business. So for me, it's more about, like the market growth, and should I enter this market or not? Should I acquire this company or not? And studying those frameworks, but also like studying how I can apply them in a way that's like that's going to be different than other candidates. So like, just like, I think also what helps me is that I didn't want to go into consulting from the beginning. So I had that like extra edge of, being more finance oriented, more S&T oriented, and bringing that to my case interview. So when I actually went to the first round, I actually breezed through all the math and the actual technical questions that we had. For me, it's more about just being, energetic, smiling, staying on top of what I was trying to say, and just like executing at that point. So after that, I got a call back for a final round interview, Super Day, and same thing over again. MBA course books, MBA case books, and just really driving that home that I have to make sure that I know all the frameworks, but also how can I apply them in a different way that's like not going to be boring or overused. So after a really great and long process for EY-Parthenon, I had 2 weeks to say yes or no. I was literally on that same day going to say yes to EY-Parthenon. 2 hours before I did that, I got an email from JP Morgan after 4.5 months. They say, hey, we loved your application. We would love to offer you a Super Day. And by the way, it's in 4 days. So at this point, I was like, at that point, I had 3 offers actually on the table. I had to say no to 2 of them because I was going to say yes to EY-Parthenon. And then I got JP Morgan. I mean, the Super Day at least. And I was thinking, what do I do at this point? Like, I'm kind of, in my head, I was like so ready to say yes to consulting at EY-Parthenon. And then there's this like in a way, an old ex coming back to me and saying, oh, like, hey, like, are you still interested in trading? Also and also at your dream firm that you had for the past couple of years. Mm. So this is like my crisis moment of what do I do? Like, do I want to actually go into this new like unknown field of consulting to me, or go into my comfortable but still exciting and great S&T career path? So I approached the interview as in like, okay, so I think I've been studying markets and studying, everything that I can about trading for the past couple of years. And I don't want to prep too much at this point. I just want to go in and be myself for the last interview. Try to just like talk to the people who I meet at JP Morgan and tell my story. So I went ahead and did that. I really I think met with people who were interested in knowing more about who I was as a person. So that was great too. So then after that, I realized that, like that interview process that I just had with JP Morgan and the conversations I had with people in trading, they weren't the same caliber or like the same emotional feeling that I had with talking to them that I did with EY-Parthenon and people in consulting overall. So I think that for me, like that also sealed a deal, and like thinking about, from the past couple of years, I've been thinking about what I want to do, and it all just like led to that one moment. And for me, it's kind of like fate, where like I decided on EY-Parthenon, and I think I was pretty happy with that decision.
We'll be right back after this quick message.
One of the biggest challenges with interview preparation for consulting is knowing what you don't know. And the best way to figure that out is to work with an expert coach. You can work with someone on our team for just one session where they can give you ideas for where you can build your prep, or you can work with them for 8 or more sessions to make sure that you're 100% ready for interview day. Check it out at managementconsulted.com. Okay, so I have to go back and recap a couple of things. I want to make sure, first of all, that I didn't miss any of your steps in the process, because what you described to us was how you emergency prepare for case interviews. And I think it's powerful. So I want to make sure that other people caught that. The first thing that you said was you Googled and kind of read an overview of the case interview, right? From 0, you have to go from 0 to 60 in a really short amount of time. Second was you watched a lot of YouTube videos. And I wanted to ask you a question. First of all, I'm really excited. We put those out for free and this is a lot of work. So when people watch them, that means something to us. I'm grateful. But what videos did you find helpful? Was it the explanation videos or was it watching people do cases? What were you looking for inside the video version of the YouTube videos?
So I think just like being at home alone, like not being able to like practice a lot with people who are already in the industry, just seeing how like people interact with during like their case interviews and what type of things they're saying to earn points in a way with their interviewer, right? So it's just like the language, the composure that you have as a student or as a interviewee, and thinking about, you know, what can I learn from that and take from that to make myself look more composed and like I actually belong in this interview, like I belong at this company in the future. So just like those are a couple of things that I look for YouTube videos.
Okay, I love that. And then you said you took the MBA casebooks and you said that you looked at Harvard and Wharton. I'm curious if there was a selection focus there, or if you were like, I'm looking for the best casebook, or if you're like, I'm looking for the best school and looking for a casebook. If there's, I was just curious about why you selected those.
Yeah, just going back to like growing up as a brown kid in New Jersey with my parents knowing about colleges in the U.S., they know business school, Wharton, Harvard, right? So I'm like, okay. I think over time, it kind of became like ingrained in me to like achieve or aim for the best that I can aim for. And when I guess subconsciously, when I was like looking back at those books, those two names stuck out to me a lot. And I went through those books and I was just like, okay, let me just start here and like just go through the book and see what happens. And it's kind of natural, I guess, at that point.
I love it. And then you said you figured out pretty quickly that you were good at profitability. So you did, I'm calling that step 4. You did kind of like a case type triage. You said, okay, I'm okay at these ones, but I'm bad at these other ones. And you went for the bad ones. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, awesome.
I was looking at, you know, like what do I not know enough of that they're definitely going to ask me in the case interview, right? So I had no idea like whether it was going to be entering a new market, M&A, or profitability. So I think like those 3 were like one of the main were like the main options that I had at that time. And knowing me and knowing my luck, it would probably be something that I don't know the best. So I went back and studied what I didn't know the best to make sure that I'm ready for all of it.
I love it. Okay, and then what I missed, but you may have said it, I just want to make sure I clarified, but did you actually practice cases out loud, or was all of this through observation before you walked into the interview?
So I was kind of like playing like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of a role in my room for a couple weeks. I would like read the case to myself like as if I'm the interviewer, and then walk through it as if like I'm myself in the day of the interview, practicing like everything from writing down a case framework, asking questions that are like about the objective of the case, walking through some like more like I guess like prodding questions throughout the case itself. And then practicing like putting it all together and providing a concise recommendation as well. So I think like the whole process is like trying to really engulf myself in that experience and try to see what I'm good at and what I'm not good at to, you know, make sure that I get the offer.
So that's wild and hard to do, but kudos to you. And then the last thing that you said is that you really were pushing yourself to make sure that your frameworks were creative. And I actually didn't know if that was from first round feedback to second round feedback that was something that you had gotten, or if that was something still that happened before your interviews. Can you just talk a little bit about, first of all, how in your room by yourself you realized that your frameworks needed to be more creative, and then second, how you got them there?
So I remember watching, I think either was a video or an article that said that, you know, the frameworks are there to help you guide your thinking. But at the end of the day, if you want to get an offer at one of those, you know, amazing large like firms, you have to be able to like think on your feet and be unique at the same time. So I was thinking, you know, like I'll start with a couple of these like buckets or bins that they have, like whether it be, you know, like market, like what's like the market look like, what's the competitors look like, and the company itself. But also like thinking more like outside the box in how I attack the problem. So maybe like I'll have a straight a strategy bucket there. So you know, like because EY-Parthenon's like a strategy practice. So like really focusing on that I know what strategy is, but also thinking about like how I can address the case itself, but through like a strategy lens. So I think that also helped me like set myself apart, not only in like the final round, but really the first round as well.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, awesome. And then I know that I'm going a little bit into the details here, but you were kind of like, in a week I figured it out and got an offer. So I just have to go back to some of those details. So what happened in between round one and round two? I know that for JP Morgan, you said it was a super day, and I don't remember for EY. I didn't write that down, so you might have said it again, but was it a super day? Was it two different interviews? And then what happened in between round one and round two in either situation?
Yes, I think I can walk through that because I think I kind of like brushed over the end because it was like a lot of detail at the same time. But basically, EY-Parthenon, I got the super day and I had 2 weeks to prepare. I think like mid October until October 26th. And I was thinking about what can I do to prepare. So I think they also gave me a super day buddy who was a CMU alumni who was at EY-Parthenon at that time. And I talked to him. And so I basically learned about, what can I do better to be better in my super day interview. And he actually opened my file in front of me. He said, you know what, like, there's not much here that I can really offer you, but apparently, like, you did a great job. I'm like, that's great to hear, but what do I improve on, right? And I was like really like happy about that. But at the same time, it's like I want to go from, like this level to like the next level to really blow everyone away at the super day. So I actually talked to the hiring manager for my school, and he said that, just like know more about like the terminology of M&A, really diving deeper into what we exactly do at Deal Technology at EY-Parthenon. And I went ahead and like read guides on, what is a merger, what is acquisition, like what's a carve out and things like that, and really understanding, what does it take for in consulting to go from day 0 to day 1 to day 100 and figuring out like that entire process. So when it came to the case interview, I was like able to throw that in there, like into our presentation for the group case, answering questions. And I think that that really showed that I did my homework and helped to get my helped to get the offer. So after that point, I felt really good about EY-Parthenon. I really liked doing the work that we were doing there, or during the interviews. And then at JP Morgan, I had 4 days to prepare. So like I said before, I really didn't want to do a lot of case prep again, or like interview prep again for trading, because I've been doing it for the past 2 years. So I kind of went into it like just dry of like, I know what bonds are. I know what interest rates are. I know like the basic understanding of how markets work. So I just went into it being myself, trying to see basically kind of turning that interview back on the interviewers at JP Morgan and saying like, are you like the right company for me at this point? Because like I feel pretty secure that I want to go into consulting or go into this company, but like I want to hear what you have to say about your company, about the industry in general, that can kind of persuade me to go the other way at this point. And I think that like actuality, like I think the biggest blessing throughout the whole process of being so stressed for like the past year and a half, and then having that like actualization that like now I can finally turn the interview back on the interviewer, right? And not only like any interview, it's literally like JP Morgan, one of the biggest bank in the United States. So I think for me, like that's like a little bit of a pride moment. And what I did after both of those interviews is, to take a step back, took a couple hours to digest everything. And in true consulting fashion, I went and opened up a Word doc and created a visual like calendar, like a little like organizer to rank or basically come up with a list of what I really care about in my career, like, and what do I want to get out of my time at either one of these companies, right? So a couple of factors that I have just on my side right here are, like how many hours am I going to work? The same for both of them. They're pretty high. The teamwork at consulting versus trading, right? So like in EY-Parthenon, like you're going to have more teamwork where you're like the work that you're actually doing is going to be dependent on others. Whereas in trading, you're on a desk on a group of people. But I feel like the work that you do is more product based and more individualized than in consulting. And for me personally, being at business school, like I think it's like a big factor for me to be able to work on teams, interact with other people as often as I can. So I really enjoyed the fact that in consulting like they can really do that. Looking at like career path flexibility, because I knew like as a junior in college, like if I'm gonna like I guess change my entire career path in this moment, I want to be able to like know that somewhere down the line I can change my career path or have the opportunity to do different new things that like I actually want to do, as opposed to just being stuck, or not stuck, but like being kind of siloed into that one product or that one role. And I think that people that really love sales and trading, it's for them for sure. That's like a great feeling, that like knowing that, you found your calling and like you really want to go into that area. But for me at that time, like I didn't really feel like that, like trading or being in one product was for me. I would really want to go out there and explore and learn as much as I possibly could about, the entire world. So that's also why I chose consulting as well. Looking at, like long-term goals. So this is one thing that I came into college with, is that one day down the line somewhere, I actually want to own my own business, run my own company. And what kind of gives me like the best knowledge and best, opportunities to do that. And I know that, if you're going into consulting, you can go back and get an MBA, start your own company in college, or in your MBA time. You can go back and, go to MBA and be a manager somewhere and then work your way up to being a CEO. You can, drop out of consulting and with your network, go into startups. Whereas if you're in trading, what you'll probably do is, if you do leave, you may leave into like a fintech startup and work as a fintech like specialist and basically work your way up from there. But I think that just like general knowledge about operations, about strategy, about really like managing people and managing a business, you probably learn more in consulting. So for me, that was pretty interesting, as well as to thinking about what I want to do in the long term, and also some other things like like travel, stress levels, like the pay itself. I realized that like after rank things and what I really want the most for my career, so I kind of like prioritize. So for example, long-term goals, right? I put that as a 10% out of 100% weight for that one group. Whereas, for pay or prestige, I guess, like I don't know why I put that there, but I put prestige as well, like 3 to 4%. Like for me, like that doesn't matter as much as like the long-term goals that I had for myself. So I kind of like assigned a 1 for each one out of those categories, weighted them against the weight that I had for each for basically my priorities, and added them up. And I had a 65% weight for EYP and 35% for JPM. And then just the whole process of going ahead and creating a chart and weighting myself against it. That's like basically told me like, yeah, like you're going to go to EYP. Like, why are you even doing this at this point? And that's why I chose EY-Parthenon.
Okay, I have to ask, would you be willing to share your matrix? I think people would really find it interesting to play along with it. Sure. Also, it's an incredibly nerdy way to think about your future. But I think what you said is that like if it had come out the other way, right? If JP Morgan would have somehow been on top, but in your gut that wasn't what you were thinking about, you probably would have not gone with it because that was what the model said. You probably would have said, this is weird, but I don't feel like that's actually what I want. Is that what you're saying as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some biases in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But, I think it's like, I think it helped me realize that like there's like numbers behind the way I feel, and I think like I can say like, yeah, like this is exactly what you should be doing because it says so right there on that paper. So like just do it, and yeah.
Good. Well, now it's time for you to play the sage. So from what I heard from you, you didn't spend money on the consulting prep process. You DIY'd all the way. And I think that's something that a lot of people, want to know is possible, which it absolutely is. And I think you gave them a good pattern for that. But on the consulting side, is there anything specifically that you feel like was the game changer for you that really got you where you needed to go and something that you would recommend other people do when they're prepping?
I just think that like for anybody that wants to go into any industry, like it's not about the interview prep that you put in to get to where you want to be, but like it's literally what you put into your routine and into your education day in and day out, because it's all going to add up to who you are and what you know at that point in time when you're ready to interviews. So thankfully, because I've been, trying to work as hard as I can the past couple of years, learning about, economics, finance, really just diving into what I'm passionate about, that kind of carried over into my prep and to my case studies or case prepping for EYP. But what I think is that when you're actually at the moment of preparing for case interviews, like there's a couple things that I think everyone should look at. It's like take a moment to just sit down and plan out how you're going to study, right? So like what are you going to do like for, let's say I have 2 weeks to study, like what proportion of that 2 weeks am I going to sit there and think about cases, or should I go back and think about how I can learn about like profit, like how to calculate profits? Do I have to go back and brush up on my M&A terminology research, right? And then break that out into different components. But also just like one thing that I did that kind of is like not orthodox, I guess, is like I downloaded this app on my phone called Mental Math. Because for me, I wasn't really strong at mental math at that time. Every day for like 1 hour for like a week straight. Open that app up at like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. before I sleep. Just do math. Like I know it's so nerdy and it's like so weird, but like when I came to like actual casing, for me it was like second nature to like have those numbers in my head and have that math down, and really like allowed me to think about other things while I was going through that case. And I think that just like it's like the little details like that help you like set yourself apart then from other people. Just like doing different things that people ordinarily wouldn't do, but that can like give you that little edge. And I think that where that comes from is like, you know, playing sports all the time, watching a lot of basketball, you know, LeBron, Kobe, Michael Jordan. Just like that, having that edge, that like thinking of things that people don't like that people don't think about, and just going ahead and doing that, and you know, trying to gain an edge on your competition in a way.
I love it. Good. And then final question, if somebody wants to decide rather than on the final day of their exploding offer between, you know, banking, especially between sales and trading and consulting, what would you recommend they look at critically and thoughtfully early on in the process?
I think the first, like, I think what everyone should do is create like a list of, like, kind of like I did, like a list of things that you want to like have for your long-term career path. Like whether it be, you know, like maybe you don't want to work 100 hours in banking and want to have a life outside of that. Like that actually matters a lot for your time and your career after college, right? And thinking about, you know, what do you want and what don't you want? Because I think when you're a student in college who's very young, you know, maybe like you're from a background a family background that's like not really wealthy, right? So then when you hear, you know, like $100,000 from a banking job, that's like all you would can think of, right? So think about, you know, don't think about what everyone else is telling you or like what everyone's hyping up. Think about what's like the best option for what you want to do, right? And try to think about that all the time. Like don't buy into the hype of, you know, like what everyone else is doing. So and in addition to that, like I think one way they can know what you want to do and figure out what path you want to go down is just by like networking with other students who are in I guess who are upperclassmen, talking to people who are in the industry. And just not being afraid to like hop on like a networking call and figuring out, you know, like what they do, ask them, you know, like how do they like, I guess, navigate their daily routines, what do they like about their jobs, or like why they chose that career path, and try to figure out for yourself, like, is that for you, right? Because someone can actually love their job, but if you're doing that same exact job, you may not love it for a number of reasons. So trying to figure out, you know, like, is this exactly what I want to do? And as an 18, 19-year-old kid, or like whether you're, you know, a freshman, sophomore, junior in college, even for that, like a 40-year-old person, like you may not know what you want to do in your life or going forward, but just being thoughtful about, you know, like your future and being thoughtful about how you carry yourself is like a really important thing to like figuring out decisions in your life.
Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you so much for coming. I thought your perspectives were really enlightening and I enjoyed talking to you. I appreciate you. And thanks again for reaching out and for sharing your story. It's really exciting to hear.
For sure. And also thank you so much for what you're doing at Management Consultant. I think it's really important for people like me, like who can't really go out and, you know, just like pay people to train us, but also just have that experience to just go out there, watch a couple of videos, look at some resources, and basically change my entire life. Like I think it's really important, like what you're doing here.
Wasn't that a fun conversation with Aashav? It's super exciting for us when people close the loop after using our free podcast and free YouTube and free articles and free casebooks. It's just so exciting to hear that they were successful and also specifically how they did it. If you're interested in how he did it and some of the materials that he mentioned, please just grab those from the show notes directly and make sure that you leave a review on this and any other podcast episodes that you found super interesting, just on the podcast in general. general. It's super helpful for us to make sure that it's therefore accessible for more people to listen to. In addition, if you've got feedback, ideas of ways that we can make the podcast zingier or more effective, please reach out to us, team@managementconsulted.com. And as always, if you're interested in consulting or consulting skills for your organization, please head over to our website, managementconsulted.com. Thanks for joining.